Hi there, we are back with the 2021 College League of Legends Big East Conference Tournament. I'm Stanley Greyheart Barker, and I'm still joined by Jake Superman Mori.
Happy to be here, and I'm excited for our second game. Should be a little bit closer of a showing between these two teams than we saw earlier today.
I think that's exceptionally likely. Let's have a little look at the schedule and what has gone before and what is still to come. Over on our sister stream, twitch.tv official EGF, we didn't actually get to see DePaul University up against Seton Hall University. Hopefully DePaul able to field a full team. They'll be up against Villanova. So if you're interested in that game, do feel free to go over to twitch.tv/official EGF. But we got to see St. John's University go to the top of the table with victory over bottom of the table, Providence College. Now, as you say, Georgetown University up against Butler University promises to be a much tighter affair.
Oh, absolutely. And because DePaul had to forfeit that original match in Game 1 on their sister stream today, that means that puts Butler in potential contention for that second seed if DePaul were to also drop their second game and Butler were somehow to come ahead of Georgetown with the win here today. So this is actually for standing, so keep an eye on this stream. We got Pick and Ban on your screen already. Misfortune going to be taken away from Lundstorm. And I got to say, great band there. I have seen Lundstorm completely take over games with that Gale Force pick.
Yeah, Lundstorm is one of those players who in my short time here at Big East, I've got to know well in terms of seeing them performing on stream. In fact, this entire Butler lineup seem to be able to deliver the goods. They're banning away the Rek'Sai and the Victor. Camille in response.
Decent takeaways. Victor, of course, rising in popularity once he got some of those recent changes. Seraphine taken away, though she's not that immediate pick ban. She's definitely high priority, so she's going to be taken away. Blue side gets that first pick, so we'll see if they decide to go for some of those crazy jungle picks like the Udyr or the Hecarim, or if they decide to maybe lock in one of those high priority 80 carries.
Well, you called the Hecarim. Looks like it's going to get locked in, so one of the three ponies already onto the Rift.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it gets answered with any other four-legged beasts. Olaf definitely feels like he's on four legs sometimes with how fast he can run at you. He'll get locked in. A classic answer to the Hecarim.
I mean, you see those arms whirling with the two axes. You might easily believe that it was a four-legged beast, but no. Instead, it is going to be the Ragnarok and Roller that is coming in as MGL will try to counterplay overpowered Fruit on the Hecarim as much as possible. Kai'Sa, a champion that has been shredded slightly by nerfs over recent patches, but still maintains a reasonable place due to the preseason items.
Yeah, not enough of nerfs if they were trying to get her to be completely inviolable for competitive play. She's super strong still, just not as dominant, basically first pick anything as she used to be. But great blind pick, going to get taken there. Caitlyn going to be hovered, indeed going to get locked in, and I think that's a great answer. Caitlyn does not scale as well as Kai'Sa does, but she's one of the few champions that can actually answer the Kai'Sa in lane, if not entirely bully her. So I like that. Caitlyn slowly been rising to power, as I mentioned in our earlier game today, not because she herself have been buffed in a variety of ways, but because generally every other 80 carries build paths are getting steadily weaker with nerfs that have come through on recent patches. So we're back to the days of where Caitlyn can use her range, regardless of item metas, to just bully the laning phase, get some extra plates, and go from there. Ornn locked in, though. Greyheart, that's a really strong pick in the top lane, but it is blind.
It is blind, so it does leave that opportunity for a potential top lane pick here. However, it will mean that something like a support, for instance, or Rel that you could pair up with this Kai'Sa, or even the Karma that we're seeing hovered, would come through. Of course, Karma can be flexed between multiple lanes. We've seen it in top, we've seen it in mid, we've seen it support. So, you know, could be going anywhere, but is most likely to be alongside this Kai'Sa. Coming into the second phase of bans, both teams can put a bit of a target onto certain champions they don't want to go up against. If they don't think this Karma is going top, then all of a sudden we could see Georgetown go, right, let's remove two matchups that we don't want that Ornn playing into. Remember, they've already removed the Camille.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen the Ornn flex to mid. It's not impossible to do, but generally you only want to do it if you know that you can have a half-decent matchup for him. He's much better in that long lane. Karma, you mentioned, could be flexed to the top lane. I think that's the most common flex if it's not just going to be a support. She got recently buffed with a very strong reduction in the cooldown for her Q ability. That's her main poke damage. And I would like to see her sticking to the support role personally. the shield mantra inspire our entire team is really, really strong. But of course, you can do that when you have items if you play through the top lane. Definitely one of those champions that can bully the Ornn. We'll have to see what they lock in here. Lots of solo lane bans across the board.
Well, we've had the Orianna and the Alistair both banned away. Shows just how much that Flex Karma can mess with opposition teams, because you don't quite know which lanes you need to start banning out. With the Ryze getting through on top of the Kai'Sa, there's some super DPS that could come out of those carries over on the side of Butler.
Oh yeah, there's so much damage, Kai'Sa and Ryze together, and they can stick on you with the Karma being able to speed them up or disengage with the speed that she can provide. Olaf can always dive your backline, but there's such a beefy frontline here on the side of Georgetown. Caitlyn can put out the damage, she's no stranger to DPS, and Hecarim can dive your backline, and now you've got Ornn and Rel to put up a brick wall in front of that Caitlyn. They're going to complement the physical damage with the magic here from Syndra, and that does put a little bit more of a threat on any one champion that will dive. Now, if Olaf goes to the backline, they may just one-shot her. But it's at the last second, change to Anivia. We got walls for days.
Going to bring an extra little bit of CC. The My Little Pony fans of the world, the Bronies are united. We're having both Hecarim and Rel coming to the Rift for Georgetown. One last lock-in will solidify exactly what's happening with this Butler comp, exactly where these champions are going to. With the Trundle hover, I'd expect to see that go topside if it's locked in, but it technically can be played support as well.
Yeah. Curious. I mean, the Trundle is a great answer in general to be able to steal the resist from either Ornn or Rel. You're definitely going to be insanely tanky, and you're going to shred their resists during the team fight. But I think it actually seeds the top side of the map a lot more than you ought to. Ornn is known for his scaling. He's going to get those items for himself, upgrade them for himself and his team as those levels progress. Unless you bully him, he's going to become that unkillable tanky beast and spread that wealth to his teammates. You have to kind of focus him a little bit more. So I'm kind of curious that they really just wanted to give that up. I mean, I can definitely tip my hat at the idea of Kai'Sa and Ryze are enough damage. You don't really need to win the top side of the map because your bottom side is so strong. But it feels to me like the Trundle definitely will fall short in just the 1v1. And it might actually just put a spotlight up there for Hecarim to abuse.
Maybe that is completely correct, but if we see MGL coming in and responding with the Olaf, which of course has so much massive early game potential, that could be a really fascinating 2v2 with both Trundle and Olaf ripping through the health bars. One thing I like about both of these comps is I don't look at one nor the other and go, yes, this one has one draft hard. I look at two comps that seem fairly balanced, bring a lot to the table, certain early game power spikes, but at the same time, a huge amount of damage coming through to the late if the scaling comes through. I think this game is balanced not only in terms of the standings as they lie at the minute, with Butler currently just being a couple of games ahead of Georgetown, I believe, but also we look at these drafts and I think it's going to be a balanced game on the Rift too.
Yeah, it's just one single game. In fact, there's a possibility here that this Butler squad could find their way back up into the standings very nicely, very keenly. If they are able to win this, and DePaul on their sister stream over there on official EGF, it drops their second game today, then you could actually see Butler somehow slingshot into the top of the standings looking for that second seed. So yeah, I'm definitely looking for this game and we'll see if Butler can really pull it out because they have to win it, not just hope that DePaul loses. But in terms of the team comps, you mentioned it really, both these teams want to do very different things. Well, not entirely different, but different things. You can see blue side with the Caitlyn and the Anivia and that huge front line with the Hecarim too. Hecarim, that quasi front line as well. If you are fighting them for an elongated team fight, they win. You can't get through an Anivia and Caitlyn traps and Ornn and Rel just locking you into place. There's so much crowd control and plenty of damage to back it up. Then you look over on red side and you've got that Ryze and you've got the Kai'Sa. Both of these champions can dive you. You call them backline, but sooner or later they're on your backline, and there's only so much you can do to survive that kind of damage from a Kai'Sa and a Ryze, both known for their insane burst, not just on a single target, but on many to go. So you want to see red side kind of splitting up the fights, making them a bit more into those smaller skirmishes, because you can spread them out, make sure that Kai'Sa gets her isolated damage, and Ryze can chase down whoever's left using the Karma shields to boot. But blue side, they just want to stick in a lane, 5v5, lock people down with Call of the Forge God and a couple of Anivia walls, and things go from there.
I see your point very much, especially in regards to the tanky lineup that's coming out of Georgetown. But when I look at this Butler team, one of the words that immediately comes to mind is shred. You've got a subjugate coming out of Trundle that's going to steal stats most likely from Ornn. You've got Olaf, who he doesn't care he goes low health. He just does even more damage anyway. You've got Kai'Sa with the Acathian Rain able to rip through health bars. Admittedly not as much as before, but that still applies through the Kraken Slayer. And then you've got Ryze, who if it comes to late game, we all know what a Ryze does late game. We've all watched Faker at Worlds. So I do feel that you're absolutely right in terms of a team fight. If executed well with the tanks, with the CC from Georgetown, it should give them an edge. But I'm certainly not in any way, even if it comes to a team fight, writing off Butler. A lot of people out there in Twitch chat, and by a lot of people, I mean one person in Twitch chat, certainly showing a lot of love for Georgetown. There are fans of other teams. I think this is Seton Hall, who are coming in and basically saying, yeah, we're definitely rooting for Georgetown. We don't want to see Butler picking up any games towards us or DePaul or St. John's at the top of the table. They want to be kind of locked in at the top 3 coming towards playoffs.
Of course. And yeah, I agree with your points about Butler. They've got a lot of shred in there. They're very strong in these fights. I look at these comps and I see Trundle and Olaf, they can catch out anybody. Ryze can be there in an instant. And so if you so much as put a toe out of line, then you'll be caught out of position. But if you're actually in a lane, I gotta say, how do you engage with Trundle Pillar or Karma Speed Up? I mean, that's basically all you've got to try and run down an Ornn, a Rel, a Hecarim, a Anivia. Anivia just puts a wall down in front of you and you're kind of out of luck, but we may get a level 1 invade. Rel's alone.
He's going to get spotted out. The axe is going to go narrowly wide. Rel is going to trot off into the distance, safe and sound, but the invade will continue. The vision will be put down by Butler. Simultaneous cries coming out from the fans of both teams out there in Twitch chat, cheering their sides on. Also giving you a little bit of love in the chat as well, and quite rightly so, Superman.
See what these junglers do from these early levels. They're both these ghost instead of flash champions. So run at you and run at you quickly and continue to run at you is the name of the game. Going to get leashes on the bottom side of the map here for Olaf, but starting top for the Hecarim, which could either mean he's going for some serious aggressive invading as far as clearing camps goes, or he's looking to do some quick double buffs into an early gank bottom. I think the latter is far less likely. So we'll see if the Hecarim's able to steal anything away from Olaf.
Okay, we'll keep our eyes towards those junglers, towards their pathing, whether or not they opt into any kind of vertical jungling, or if we see some maybe VOD or topside ganks anytime soon. First on the game is going to connect on to Levi, not quite able to find the fancy footwork we associate with Faker in that skin.
Yeah, Levi with the jeans, they're constricting. It's hard to dodge such a quick skill shot there, and it's nice. The electric proc puts Fishbro in a commanding position as far as health goes in mid lane. You can see he's got a couple of pots and the nice extra health from the ring. Mid lane, this matchup is pretty even. Neither one of these guys can just hard win it by a default, but definitely they both have the ability to burst each other out. So it'll be pretty close, and it really just is a skill matchup in mid. Down here in bottom, though, somehow Caitlyn, with the additional rage, is the one who's getting bullied out early.
Yeah, must have taken an empowered Q from the calm to the face, I'm guessing. Meanwhile, in top lane, we see just how much damage early game Trundle puts out, with Shifty Crescent losing out hard. Okay,
so this is interesting, though. You got all red members pushed in, so Hecarim, instead of going for that,
he uses the Ghost, forces the flash. In fact, hasn't even had to use the Ghost to get the Summoner out of Levi, who's still left running for the turret. The electric proc from Fishbro, not enough to secure first blood.
Fantastic from Overpowered Fruit. You can see all of the red team's lanes are pushed in. That means it's actually too risky for him to go for the aggressive invades like I mentioned he may go for with his beginning pathing. So instead, he opts to gank mid, and without using any summoner spells, they get flash out of Levi. That's great. He can return back either sometime soon, or probably can get level 6 before that flash is available. It might be pretty close with that timing.
Playing out this top lane, just as you expect the Trundle to do, already finding himself plenty of grasp procs from the Chomp. Meanwhile, Hecarim is still clearing out the jungle, has formed a couple of camps behind the Olaf, but Olaf, as of yet, unable to make any ganks work, whereas we've seen Levi strip of their flash. It's going to be a nice easy scuttle to grab secure, as we do see Mac taking a little bit of damage from Shifty Crescent, but doesn't take turret damage and immediately trades back, and yet again, the Ornn comes off worse.
Yeah, Olaf's on the way, though, too. There's only a couple hundred health here for Shifty Crescent. He has his flash available, but yeah, Mac has been bullying crap out of him. Level 4 comes through, that's a little bit more health, and he's able to build himself a cloth armor, but will it be enough to survive this dive?
On the back of the cheeky early back, there is the Oracle secured by Butler. They know they've not gone across any vision. They know they're not spotted out, but I don't think they're going to make this play work. And we're not seeing any camps there for the Olaf to steal away. So this is essentially just the Olaf wasting a little bit of time, and Hecarim picks up a couple of camps again.
Yeah, lucky that Hecarim did start topside so that Olaf can pick off the Gromp here. It really just luck of the draw for him to do that because they didn't have too much information. Yep, just enough for him to get that. Now they may be considering the dive now that they have a cannon wave as well. He Crescent down to 400 health. That's a little healthy for a dive. Yeah, it looks like Olaf's going to back off.
Is going to do exactly that, picking up the early pickaxe. In response, you see the Sheen has been secured by the Hecarim, such a crucial power spike to be able to have the helicopter pony putting out as much damage as possible with those Qs. Our first dragon of the game will be spawning in about 10 seconds time. We'll see if either of these junglers decide to try and make any plays towards it.
Perhaps. You can see both AD carries opted for the cull, though, meaning they're probably not looking to fight as often as we may otherwise expect. Shifty Crescent with a decent trade topside. Ooh, he took the hit. Yeah.
Mac takes the turret shot, and it leads to first blood. The immediate dash in. The ghost was used. The kill was secured. Georgetown first blood.
Yeah, off the races there in the top side. He gets that first kill, and nobody likes a fed Hecarim except the Hecarim, because all he can do is just run around the map killing everyone, and it looks like he is off to a great start to make that happen.
That's an ideal situation for Overpowered Fruit. We saw them burning the flash in mid lane early on. Mac not even bothering to flash here, knowing they were dead to rights, but we are going to see Butler respond by securing themselves a dragon.
Yeah, a huge dragon too. An early Ocean Drake during laning phase. I would take that over First Blood any day. Of course, that wasn't the desired trade. They'd love to just pick it up for free. But all things considered, if I was in this game, I would say worth. You send your jungler topside, you get that, that's totally fun.
Oh, remember, Levi, no flash available, just gets caught out. It takes so much damage. Flash forward from Anivia. One final E is going to hit the mark. That is just going to be a straight-out solo kill for Fishbro.
Aha! And though the kill credit and the score does not reflect it, gotta say, it really is Overpowered Fruit who gets that kill credit. It might be another one coming topside.
Call of the Forge God was channeled. Mac, remember, held onto the flash last time round, has already used the Subjugate, is looking for the 2v1, but with Ornn arriving in Subjugate, timing out, it's going to be Mac who's able to get the kill, flashing away, getting a bit of a triumph prop, trying to stay alive, looking to do so, but Shifty Crescent chasing down on the Ornn, trying to make sure it's at least a 1-for-1. One last strike will do it. There are minions coming in. Here comes Butler in, here comes MGL in response. Shifty Crescent is able to get there with the last dash, but will give up their life to the Ragnarocking Olaf.
Oh my goodness, so much action on the top side of the map. Both top laners go down and an additional jungler. I was mentioning how Overpowered Fruit, he was able to assist, quasi-assist that kill in mid for Fishbro because he got that flash earlier. And top lane, he looked to be doing the same, but, you know, Mac didn't even have to flash in order to win that 1v2, and now caught out in the jungle once again. Overpowered Fruit might not be able to do this.
Caught. MGL trying to steal away the Gromp, is able to do so. In comes... Oh my word, the timing was inch perfect from the Realm Warp. It saves MGL's life just as the stun was about to connect.
This guy feels... He was ready to get that kill, get an extra bit of gold in his pocket, stop the Realm Warp, and perhaps even get Levi too. But no, now it's going to be a blue buff stolen away, plus an extra kill on Overpowered Fruit. But was this First Blood Hecarim has turned into, I don't know, is it Taco Bell? We used to have that fiasco. I think people thought it was horse meat.
We had that a while back with some issues here in the UK. Meanwhile, looking at the scoreline, 3 kills apiece, but there's an 800 gold lead over to Butler on the back of some nice CS advantages they're gaining. None more so than in the top lane, where Mac is nearly 40 CS up on Shifty Crescent.
And Rel inching towards the top side. You can see Caitlyn has so much range, and now with a few more items, she's a little bit safer to play on her own. Rel can use the entire map at her leisure to get some ganks out. Does return to the bottom lane, though. We'll have to see if these teams, now that level 6s are coming across for almost everyone on the map, if we get something a little bit more explosive. Remember that first Drake was picked up by Butler on the bottom side, and Levi's here.
Levi completely catching out Riot, but overpowered Fruit is here for the counter gap. Throws down the onslaught. Shadow still finds the flea despite the flash coming in. The ace in the hole not quite dealing enough damage to the Rise. They have not got Realm Warp to get to safety. And of course, overpowered Fruit will find their second kill of the game. But while this happens, the Herald is being taken by Butler.
Olaf is smart. MGL able to pick up neutral objectives on the other side of the map as soon as Hecarim shows his face. And overpowered Fruit, revenge is ever so sweet as he's able to pick off the Rise on the bottom side of the map. Rise kind of falling behind in CS, and that's not something you want to see. It makes him harder for him to pick up some pretty expensive items that are part of his kit. Although he should have a pretty good time going some of those quasi-defensive mana items. They can still give him some aggressive stats, because some of those are pretty efficient against a team like this.
Meanwhile, I've got to ask you a question, Superman. You were making comments in regards to a Hecarim and when it gets fed, how no one likes to deal with it. How do you feel when you're going into 2-0 Olaf? Right now, it's more the Trundle that the Orn is having to worry about, but he's able to turn things around quite nicely. Yeah, how do you feel about that Olaf that's already got the Iron Spike Whip completed? He's running a decent CS score. He's taking objectives for Bunting.
Yeah, I gotta say, as a support player, wait, we got a moment top lane.
Oh, they don't give us a chance to have a chat about the junglers because the junglers are so damn proactive. Overpowered Fruit sending Butler back to the safety of their turret.
That's the power of the Trundle ult, just drain tanking his way through, becoming so tanky, and of course, well played by him to dodge out the Call of Fortune. But about this Olaf, I'm a support player myself. I play those squishy support mages for the most part, which means if there's a fed Olaf on the map, I really don't want to be anywhere near him because there's nothing I can do to stop his Ragnarok from running straight at my face and deleting me with true damage to boot. So I'm very terrified of a 2-0 Olaf, and he's not just 2-0, he's got 22 extra CS over his counterpart in the jungle, and it looks like he'll be securing the second Drake of the game no problem.
Yeah, Prio's definitely going over to Butler as they start this one up on spawn. We're going to see teleport from Anivia coming in, but that's just to mid lane. We're going to see second Dragon easily secured by Butler. We'll be looking at either an Infernal or a Mountain Rift. Talking about that Ragnarok that you were just a moment ago, MGL, of course, will have that ability available, and it doesn't matter how much CC you've got on GTN if we see the Ragnarok being used, because all of a sudden, he's still going to be on the Caitlyn, he's still going to be on the Anivia, shredding those health bars.
Oh yeah, a fed Olaf is one of those things where it just seems like there's no possible answer. You can't crowd control him because he's got Ragnarok, and of course you can't really risk trying to poke him down because the lower health he is, the more attack speed he has, and all this damage in his kit means he'll get close and he'll kill you. Bottom side of the map, 2v3.
Onslaught Shadow Stun is going to connect via the Realm. Mojo Romo in a lot of trouble. Will get a little bit of a shield that I believe also the exhaust put down there as well. So a Summoner Spell was hurt by the bot side from Butler. They don't give up any kills just here. And both the ADCs, they're still pretty much hanging on that nuke quiver.
Yep. Both sitting at about 100 CS, and they're doing quite well towards their call.
Bit of damage. We've had a lane swap come through. We saw the Realm Warp from Rise go up to counterplay the Orn on top side. This has left Mack in a little bit of a range disadvantage position up against Fish Bros Anivia.
Yeah, I'm sure this is just for the time being, although two melees in mid.
Well, one thing that you can't deal with is the wall, but when you've got Mack flashing and a chomping, the egg will be scrambled. MGL on the killing spree. That's a 3. And Olaf, the Viking seems unstoppable.
Breakfast right there, and they're able to pick him off into the prior to 14 minutes. They're going to get extra plates in mid, and half of this gold at least is going to MGL. It's going to be so much more gold in this Olaf's pocket after you just picked up an additional kill. Yeah, Olaf, very, very scary at this point of the game. Gets an additional plate too. That's very, very nice for him. Mac, too. It's important that he gets some gold because he's the only other frontline member. He has to be beefy enough to deal with these tanks.
Well, we have got a 1,000 gold lead over to Butler, and you better believe that every single penny of that lead is in the Trundle and the Olaf. There's been topside domination, especially through the jungle, coming out of Butler. They were the probably the slightly more favoured team coming into this game with the higher ranking. I know there are a lot of teams just above them that are hoping they slip up and don't push themselves any closer to doing well in the playoffs. And a slip up could have come here as Mac is somewhat caught out. We are going to see Subatsu looking for the chase. Overpowered Fruit is coming and charging in. The pullback is there from the magnetic field, and it is going to be the kill in the end, secured by somebody. I think it was the Anivia got it in the end.
Yeah, it was the Anivia, which I think is really important. Anivia is a key component of Georgetown's composition. They need to have this control mage able to not just one-shot waves, but make sure that she's actually threatening the Olaf, who's super fit, and the Trundle, who's getting ahead on the top side too. That's just so much of that scary front line that'll run right at you and threaten the back line, this Caitlyn. And if you don't really have that control of the area, you're going to run into trouble trying to hold them back.
I'd like to take our listeners back to something I was saying just a moment ago about that gold lead being on the top and jungle for Butler. Well, they're the first two people in the game, the only two people to complete their mythic items, but it's a duel on the bot side we see as the 2v2 is in full force. Lunstorm finding the killer instinct onto Ryokyu, flashes away. The double stun is inch perfect from Zubutsu, saving their ADC. The ace in the hole comes through just as Overpowered Fruit arrives with the onslaught of shadows, trying to find a kill onto the opposition support. Lunstorm will die. Now it's going to be down to Mojo Roboter trying to get out to safety, flashes away, finds the roof, finds the tether, finds the turret shot, finds the kill onto Overpowered Fruit.
And flashes the Mastery 7 emote. I like that. Just for a little cheekiness. He's able to pick that up. And now it's 65. The gold's really been close this entire game, and most of it's been heavy towards the top side for Butler. And now it's looking towards the mid and bot in favor of Georgetown. So the map's kind of split. It's like 2v1 up here. Call of the Forge Gods here.
That's going to be the demolished prop coming through onto the turret, which means the turret is gone. First turret is secured, and it will probably be a kill on the back of it as well. Flash is available for Shifty Crescent, but they have nowhere to flash to that would have provided any form of safety. And this turret, this kill goes over just as the Herald respawns.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay there, I think, by Shifty Crescent. Of course, he didn't have enough vision to know that the Olaf was about to arrive. But additionally, using the Call of the Forge God there when there's just a minute before Drake, I think that's a little bit of a misplay if he's going to join his team with Teleport. Maybe they won't.
Really good point. Really good point. We're seeing second Herald being secured nice and easy yet again. The Olaf doing well on the back of those kills that we saw the one kill going over to the Hecarim. He has now completed the Trinity Force. That will be a crucial item spike for him. Also, the Gale Force completed for Caitlyn, the Kraken Slayer completed for Kai'Sa. So the ADCs are going to start hitting hard as we come in to this third dragon.
Yeah, they've been farming fantastically, and that's working out well for them so far. I just want to get a point about the Herald it's really just the cherry on top, not necessary anymore. We're past the 14-minute mark. You don't get additional gold for taking that at just 100 kill. You're not going to get any more plates, so see if they actually contest for this third Drake. If they don't, and a point was made, if you guys tuned into any of the professional broadcasts over the beginning of this weekend, it's a common point that casters make, and I want to harp on it one more time because it is really that important. When you lose the third Drake of the map, you lose so much agency for what the rest of the game is going to look like, because every single dragon fight thereafter is Butler threatening Soul Point. So losing this third Drake with little to no contest actually means that if Butler wasn't already inching ahead in that gold score and kind of tempo, now they have 100% of say of where the fights will happen on the map. And I think that's crucial for what Butler has to do in order to come out on top here, because I mentioned during the draft phase that Georgetown's composition is fantastic for the 5v5. They want to fight all in the same areas, put everybody in their spot, and control these fights with not just controlled mage that Anivia is, but so much crowd control in their tanky beefy front line. But you don't get to do that if you don't get to decide where to fight. And Butler getting that third Drake, threatening Soul Point in just a few minutes' time, 3-4 minutes away, that you can see the pings going down from Levi in the chat is this is the way forward for Butler, is to set up around those objectives, and they know that there's no choice for Butler but to fight. Can you imagine Butler, Mac, MGL, these two beefy frontliners that are already so far ahead, having a Mountain Soul in as early as the 23-minute mark? That's so scary.
Well, we do see a potential collapse coming on to the rise. Overpowered Fruit goes up to top side, but Mac wants to take the duel against the bot duo alongside this Karma. This is a straight out 2v2. Trundle going a little bit the worse on it. I do have one piece of good news for Georgetown should hypothetically we see Butler securing that 4th dragon, which I'll come back to in a moment because Levi has found himself being dove. The kill will go over to Fishbro with the Glacial Storm doing wonders yet again. The Herald is going to come down into mid lane. This should quite easily break open this turret, which we saw so much placement move from earlier. It's actually going to crash in just before the turret goes down, so it's already made its first charge. It will find a second. Teleport should be enough to stop this one coming in, but it's a response teleport. This could get messy real quick. Zubutsu goes in, finds a double stun, but finds death as well. Lundstorm finding himself a kill to pad out the stats, as we already see a turret going down. Shift present sees his health bar being absolutely ripped through as the double kill comes through for the Kraken Slayer wielding Kai'Sa. Mac is going to try and get damage on Fishbro, but Fishbro's already found the kill onto Mojo Romo. It's going to be MGL who takes down his jungle opposition as well. I promised a messy fight and it delivered.
Absolutely, yeah. It was really that the damage dealers from Georgetown were separated from that fight. You see Fishbro is still topside, finishing off that kill he had secured for his team. And honestly, if Fishbro isn't present for these fights, it's kind of Georgetown on their back foot. Although I was about to make a point about the fact that if Olaf isn't there, I actually feel from some of these fights, especially like you saw when MGL and Mojoromo were trying to kill the Rel on the bottom side of the map in that 2v2, there's a serious lack of damage from Butler because Levi's so far behind right now. He just completed his boots on top of that Leandries, and Leandries is not enough on its own to get through Ornn, to get through Hecarim, and to threaten the back line if you're lucky enough to get close to cast those spells. So there's actually kind of a lack in damage in Butler if MGL's kind of farming, and if Lundstorm's not able to pick up a little bit more damage. You can see Lundstorm's been forced to not only go the true damage mythic, which is better scaling but not quite as nice for skirmishing as the Gale Force is, but second full item, the Lord Dominix, because there's so much of a beefy front line, so much armor to actually have to chew through.
Exactly what you were talking about during Samp Select. There are so many tanky beasts. I talked about Shred, but it's clear that Kai'Sa needs more than just Shred and is going for some of that armor pen as well. Less than a minute till this next dragon spawns, and I can finally complete my point about that little bit of good news I could have for Georgetown if we see Mountain Soul going over to Butler. At the minute, you've only got Karma Shields that we can see the Rel Q pierce through. If you add the Mountain Shield onto that as well, at least we're going to see the Rel Q finding a little bit of value.
True, yeah, absolutely.
I'm here to find silver linings in every dark cloud.
Well, it just means that there's a little less value from that Mountain Drake if you've got Rel in here. They're fighting in mid lane.
Big old engage coming through. Ornn caught out, loses half the health bar. Lundstorm gets stunned down, but still putting damage out. Magnetic Field pulls in as Rise finds a kill onto Fishbro, but Mojo Romo finding a lot of aggression from Overpowered Fruit, who takes down a kill onto support. Meanwhile, Max staying alive for days, now chasing down the Caitlyn, flashing away, already used the Gale Force. Chop, 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 triple kill comes in for the Trundle, and now it will be the ability to push this mid lane inhibitor turret. Meanwhile, Rise is going to secure the Mountain Soul as this all goes down. Pretty sure we see Inhibitor and Soul going in the same push to Butler.
Sure, they might have been actually able to end the game if they had brought everybody here. You can imagine how much faster they would have been at taking any of those objectives. But this is an absolutely beautiful call nonetheless. They use immediately, Levi uses Realm Warp to go try and 1v1 the Drake without mana. Good luck with that. And they get the Inhibitor, which means they have additional pressure in mid for a Baron plate. So they're going to get the Soul here. Really well played. You know what happened in that last fight was not just that they got to start the fight exactly how they wanted, bursting out Shifty Crescent and stalling out Call of the Forge God, but it was that MGL got to obliterate Fishbro. And without the Anivia to be able to slow the fight down and control it, you were able to see MGL and Mac just completely run through that team fight. And that's exactly what it looked like. You can see they got such a huge gold lead off of those early plays topside that MGL's never died. He's 5-0-6. And Mac, even though he fell behind in KDA for a moment there, he has always had a CS lead and been involved with that assist pool, making sure that not only his experience, but his pockets are filled with gold as well. And that meant with that last team fight, if you can't burst out the Olaf using Anivia and Caitlyn, you're not actually surviving the fight. There's not a chance because you can't stop them from there.
Did feel a lot in that last fight like Butler were essentially just slapping Georgetown around the face with their wallets and going, Here we go. We've built up this round about 3,000 gold lead. This is where the items are. This is where the damage is. And as we have both pointed out multiple times going through the stream, one of the main things that negates a lot of what Georgetown's comp can do is the fact that MGL has got so insanely fed on this Olaf. 5-0-6 doing crazy damage. Steric's completed for extra survivability. Baron has just spawned and already we're seeing pings towards it coming in from Butler.
Yeah, and I know you're all about the silver linings, Greyhearts, but for me it's doom and gloom because statistically speaking, Mountain Soul is the winningest soul, and they've already secured it prior to the 23-minute mark. Plus, they've got a composition that melts through the Baron. You don't lose a lot of health if you've got this Mountain Soul when you're trying to take a neutral objective like that. And with this kind of vision control and their ability to funnel the enemy through a variety of corridors into that space, it looks like they may struggle to Georgetown may struggle to answer anything that Butler sets up. They've got all the tempo in their favor.
Jake, allow me to join you in Gloomhaven and just looking at what Mac is doing right now on this Trundle, chasing down Fishbro. The wall is going to be enough to get a little bit of survivability for the Nivea, who, remember, does not have egg available. It's turning into a 3v1, however. Mac is so insanely fast on that soil.
Yeah, that was the one opportunity they had to maybe catch him out, and it's okay that they didn't. It would have been beautiful if they had, but luckily they're able to at least do it when the trigger can't immediately get pulled on the Baron. The correct call here by Butler, and exactly what they're doing, is to then turn onto the Baron as quickly as they can. And as I said, they burn it so quickly that Georgetown didn't recognize that this was going to happen, meaning they're able to escape scot-free and get the Baron to boot. So now that gold lead has ballooned to 7,000, and oh no!
Fishbro flashes away, finds the kill onto Trundle, who flashed in response but wasn't able to land that final chomp. The Divine Sundra, Trundle finally stopped in their tracks. They will lose the Baron buff for their troubles. I was just going to say that there was that small amount of hope at Baron when I saw it had been started on Vision by Butler Levi, who did have mana this time. But like I say, it goes down so fast, and then the Realm Warp timed to perfection, taking the entire team to safety just as the goat arrived for the Court of the Fourth God.
Yeah, it was pretty close call, and although I'm not sure if they're going to win that 4v4 without the Anivia, because then your only damage threat is the Caitlyn, who can just get run down without her summoner spells. So I don't know if actually using Call of the Fourth God to stop the bases and then try and chase them down would have resulted in anything other than more Georgetown deaths, but I appreciate the attempt at a steal nonetheless. Now where we're at in this game is Butler's got the Baron buff. Elder Drake is just a few minutes away if they want to go for that. But at this point, I would like to see them just testing their limits. They've got a 7,000 gold lead, and much of that gold is on all the right people. It's about time that they start knocking down additional inhibitors and threatening to end the game before there's a chance that this Anivia can just get to the point where she insta-clears waves, and that even the tankiest of Olafs struggles to walk around a wall that's half the lane wide.
Superman, I know deep down that you're right about what you're saying about that fight probably would have gone from bad to worse without the Anivia, but let me speak about potential hypotheticals for a minute. I kind of would like to see that fight go, because it could have potentially been a fight that Georgetown took on their terms, with a full health orb, with overpowered fruit, able to go in and actually do some damage. I think I agree with you. I don't actually think they win that fight 4v4 potentially, but even so, that's the sort of fight I want to see Georgetown looking to take, where it's actually on their terms rather than just being constantly pushed around, constantly shoved around the map as we're seeing here. Mac, he's a turret-destroying monster.
Yeah, I see it was a short holiday you took to Gloomtown, and you've returned back to Silver Lining Hill. Yeah, it looks like as far as Silver Linings, there's not much here on the top side. Max going in deep.
Silver Lining, Shifty Crescent is damn tanky, and it doesn't matter that he's taken 8 chomps to the face. He might be missing a little bit of his goat-like flesh, but he's still alive for now. The turret might not be for much longer. Knockup is going to connect onto Mac. We've got Caitlyn arriving, trying to put the damage down yet again. Mac left to try and get themselves out safe. The inhibitor has respawned in mid, and this is going to be the immediate push coming in from Butler.
I think to this point, with the Baroned up minions and the fact that you're on your back foot, you have to kind of give up mid. I like that they were able to hold on to it for as long as they could, but now you have to choose your battles. I think this is where, if you're going to fight, you must pull the trigger pretty much right now. Nice stun. Will they go for more?
This is just a dissection across the map right now as Butler continue to find themselves more and more advantages. They look like they might get a second inhibitor down, but it's just about enough wave clear coming out. And it would have actually been a third inhibitor down because Mac, unsurprisingly, completed taking the top inhibitor turret and inhibitor go with it. The Elder has now spawned, and that is Butler's next focus.
Yeah, and actually the discipline from Butler there is on display. They were disciplined enough to not completely int for that third inhibitor. The teleport topside is to split the map. Trundle can absolutely threaten ending the game, and it's so hard to actually commit to a fight over this Elder when you're already down in gold. The Baron buff has expired, so they don't have the traditional combat stats, but Caitlyn almost chunks completely out. Looks like they're going to lose everything on the map.
Fishbow responded with a recall, will have the teleport available. I'm not sure they'll be able to join this fight. Baron resetting, Elder respawning to round about the 3,000 health mark. Overpowered Fruit waiting for that magical steal attempt. Has the Onslaught of Shadows available, but gets caught out by the Root. Overpowered Fruit losing so much of their health, having to Onslaught of Shadows just to get to safety, leaving Subatsu for dead. The Dragon may have reset, but it will be immediately started up again by Butler.
Trundle's now on the flank in that jungle. They're going to get Elder. They already got the top side. Bottom side was able to get taken too by this Trundle, and man,
oh no, Elder
is just a beast.
Elder! And Elder finds a double kill for Mac through the burn. Absolutely ludicrous scenes here on the Rift. Butler are finding themselves every single advantage on the map. They have not stopped since the 10th minute finding these advantages. The teleport will come through. They will push towards the next turn. They have got a two-man advantage. They have got the Elder buff. They are going to take the win here as they look to close the gap towards teams like Seton Hall, towards DePaul, and towards St. John's. They want to be at the top of the table near the end of the season, and with games like this, they very well may be.
Such a close game for so long there, and then it just slowly got out of hand for Butler. Well played, Butler, able to get out that victory and do it from just snowballing their advantage from the top side. It's really jungle diff at that point. Not that the Hecarim misplayed, he got the first blood, and he got a lot more of those summoner spells out from the solo laners. But at the end of the day, Olaf, just a huge menace on Summoner's Rift.
To do it, Superman, but it was the caster's curse. You started talking about a fed pony and started talking about the fed Hecarim. Of course, the guy on the other side of the Rift is going to come through and become this practically unkillable monster. I think they end up going the entire game deathless. What a performance from MGL. What a performance from Butler as a whole. I believe we're going to be able to get an interview with one of the players from the winning team, but we're going to take ourselves just a short break to recoup before that interview. Please stick around because we'll be right back. Thanks for sticking around. Final part of our broadcast tonight, and I'm delighted to welcome Mac to the interview desk.
Hello, hello. Nice to be here.
Great to have you here. Congratulations on the win. How are you feeling on the back of that one?
Feeling pretty good. You know, this was a big weekend for us. Trying to define ourselves as the third place team in the league, and 2 clean victories. So feeling pretty solid.
Yeah, it was really close, actually, to you guys coming out to second place on the standings. Had DePaul dropped both of their games today, you would have been tied at least for that spot. Were you guys hoping for that outcome, or it would have just been serendipitous had it come with that?
I think it would have been pretty serendipitous. We know DePaul's a very good team, but luckily, because they lost their first one, we have a rematch coming up with them next week, and we have the opportunity to tie them in the standings if we beat them. So we're going to be practicing hard and looking to take them down.
Exciting to hear that. Now, in this game that we just saw here on stream, you played Trundle in the top lane. Were you always expecting to take a pick like that, or was it just an answer to the really tanky composition that Georgetown drafted for themselves?
So Trundle's one of my throwback picks. I played him a long time ago, and recently, I've tested him out, and I think he's pretty good. And he's super good into tanks, right? And shreds armor, and he has a really strong lane phase. So I felt like I had the opportunity to beat up their top laner as soon as I saw him pick Ornn, and we rolled with it. So it's been in my back pocket for a while, but I thought this was just a super good opportunity to pull it out.
I love how you call it a throwback pick. In fact, I'd kind of consider it the same myself, except usually I'd be playing it in the jungle. And going back a few patches, I remember, you get a little bit of alone time with a turret and a Trinity Force completed. You start to take that turret down pretty quickly. You went for the Divine Sundra. We saw in that replay just a moment or so ago. You hurt those turrets quite a lot in that game.
Yeah, so When I meant throwback, I'm talking all the way back to season 6. It was one of the first champs I climbed on, and you know, it's
not
just
so
good.
I never climbed.
It's just so good at melting towers, and as soon as you're alone in a side lane, like you have to have 2 people match you, and if they don't, you can honestly just take the tower without even worrying about the other champ there, because you have Demolish and your Q procs on towers, you get the bonus attack speed. So yeah, it's just sitting alone in a side lane or calling your jungler to gank when the tower's less than half, and it's super free.
And it wasn't just the turrets that you damaged. Having a little look at the damage graph, the total damage champions throughout the game, you outdamaged anybody on your team by 8,000 in that game. So you were certainly hitting some heads as well as some turrets.
Yep, bonking them with the club.
And some filthy pillars, if I may say so myself. That worked out really well for chasing them down. So you definitely showed up huge for your team in this game. Congratulations on that victory.
Thank you.
I mean, I just very quickly would love to hear how the team was feeling in the early game, because obviously the later the game went, it was an excellent display of macro. You took every single dragon, both the heralds, the turrets, fell at your hand, and also from your team's excellent rotational play. But in the early game, there was that really dicey play, as we saw. I believe it was Levi and MGL go in on the Olaf and the Rise, wandered into enemy territory, just about managed to finish off a Hecarim. MGL is about to die, and then something magical happens, and as a result, MGL actually goes deathless that entire game. Can you talk us through what's happening on comms at that point?
Yeah, so early game, our mid laner was fuming a little bit because the Rel was just setting up a tent in the mid lane. So finally the Hecarim showed top, and I ended up turning a kill on him and living long enough for the Olaf to come and kill the Ornn too. So we call to invade the blue buff. But Anivia shows back up to the play, and we get the blue buff, and our jungler MGL is just like, oh man, we're dead, and our mid laner's like, nah, I got you, and realm warps, and I swear it's like actual frame perfect. The realm warp activates, they get out before Anivia can reactivate her Q and stun them both, and we were all elated after that happened, and we felt pretty good about the game after that. It felt like it was all the momentum was on our side.
Sure was a big turning point. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this interview, Mac. Is there anything that you'd like to give a shout out to, either in anything that's going on for you or with the university?
Yep. So I'd like to shout out my family for watching. I think my grandparents came out and are watching the game, so huge shout out to them. And then I'm also going to be running a charity stream for the National MS Foundation on Butler Esports' Twitch channel in April. So keep an eye out for that on both Twitter and Twitch.
Yeah, give a follow.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a very worthy cause. I wish you the absolute best of luck with that. And to you and the rest of your team, best of luck for the rest of the season. Thank you so much for joining us, Mac.
Thanks for the interview. Have a nice day, guys.
You too.
Well, Superman, we've had a couple of absolutely fantastic games today, especially that second one delivered in a big way, and great to see Butler really performing well once again. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the season, closer and closer to seeing which teams are locking in those top places. If you had to make a prediction right now of what we're going to see as our top 2, what would you be thinking?
I think St. John's and DePaul are definitely coming out on top. DePaul, when they're able to play their games, definitely show strength. And most of the teams respect that they have secured their second place seed. There's still the possibility with the matchup coming up next week that you heard there from Mac will be happening between Butler and DePaul, that Butler may upset them and take that second place spot. But I think the standings are pretty much solidified at this point. I'll be excited for that postseason.
I'm excited for it too. I'm also really excited for that game next week. I'm sure that everyone out there in Twitch chat is going to be wanting to see that. So make sure that you have dropped a follow to twitch.tv/official EGF and also to twitch.tv/Big East Esports, which is, of course, where we are right now, to make sure you keep up with all of those games. Also, a drop official EGF, a like on all of its various socials. And if you can, while you're doing it, drop out Superman Casting or at Greyheart99 a follow as well. That's always appreciated, and I'm sure there's some top tier content coming out of Superman. Superman, as always, an absolute pleasure to get to cast with you. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon. And thanks very much to production who have stuck with us the whole way as well. For now, I'm going to sign things off and hopefully see you again soon here on Big East. Good night.